Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we take the sources you send our way, dive deep, and well, turn that curiosity into some solid understanding. Today, we're getting into something really fascinating. What actually happens inside your head, inside your brain, when you use more than one language regularly? Now, you might think, okay, bilingualism, that's nice for ordering coffee in Paris, maybe looks good on the CV. But the research we've been looking at, especially stuff aggregated by Mondly, suggests it's way more profound than that. They even use this analogy, saying that switching between languages gives your brain a workout that, get this, puts CrossFit to shame. So our mission today, let's verify that. Let's look at the specific measurable ways this mental gymnastics actually enhances your life. Not just ordering food, but how you think, how you age, maybe even how much you earn.
That's exactly right. We're going to move past the sort of, romantic idea of just speaking two languages fluently. We're digging straight into the hard data. We want to pull out the real neurological, the educational, and yes, the financial benefits. By the end, you should see some pretty concrete proof that becoming bilingual, or even just more bilingual, might be one of the smartest cognitive investments you can make for the long haul and even for right now.
Okay, great. So let's start with maybe the biggest hurdle for people, the definition. What is bilingualism? Because I know a lot of listeners probably had, say, Spanish in high school, or maybe they speak a heritage language sometimes at home, but they feel like, oh, I'm not fluent enough. It's like this perfectionist barrier. Let's just call it perfectionist nonsense for now. What does the research actually say counts?
Right. We need to tear down that myth right away. You absolutely, definitely do not need to sound like a perfect native speaker in two languages to start getting the benefits we're going to talk about. The researchers, they define bilingualism pretty simply. It's the regular use of two or more languages in your daily life. The key word there is use, not, academic perfection.
Use, not perfection.
Exactly.
Okay.
So maybe you're totally fluent in English, but at work you handle basic functional chats in German. You count. Or maybe you grew up speaking Cantonese with family, but all your work and thinking now happens in Portuguese. You count too. It's about activating both systems regularly.
I really like that focus on active use. It changes the whole game, doesn't it? It's not some test you have to pass perfectly. It becomes more of a lifestyle choice. And if the benefit comes from using it, however clumsily sometimes, well, that's a big mental shift for anyone trying to learn.
It really is. Think about the analogy the sources use. Being ambidextrous. You probably write better with one hand, your dominant hand.
Right.
But if you regularly use your other hand for things catching a ball, maybe steering your car, opening jars, you're still using both effectively. You're getting a workout from coordinating both sides. The brain benefits from that coordination itself, not necessarily from perfect handwriting with both hands.
Okay, makes sense. So let's unpack the brain power part, the mental gymnastics. If I'm just saying hello and goodbye in two languages, what's the big deal? Where's the massive effort? Where does this superpower idea come from?
It comes from this constant kind of invisible effort happening inside your brain. Every single time a bilingual person goes to speak or even just thinks in a language, their brain has to do two things at once. It has to activate the language they want to use.
Okay.
And crucially, it has to actively suppress the other language, the one they're trying not to use right then.
Suppress it, like hold it back.
Exactly, hold it back. And that constant selection process, that really high-speed mental filtering, that's what strengthens the brain's top-level management system, what neuroscientists call executive function.
So it's not just knowing the words, it's the mental muscle needed to keep one language quiet while the other one works. Why is that suppression part so demanding for the brain?
Well, because your languages aren't stored in separate boxes. They're deeply interconnected systems within the same brain. They don't just switch off cleanly. So your brain has to actively, energetically filter out the interference, the sounds, the words, the grammar rules from the language you're not using. And this constant exercise significantly boosts three key parts of that executive function. First, there's inhibitory control. That's basically your ability to ignore distractions and focus. Think of it like better mental brakes. Bilinguals get really good at hitting the brakes on irrelevant information.
Okay, better focus. Got it.
Second, working memory. That's your mental workspace, how much information you can hold and juggle at once. And third, cognitive flexibility. This is your brain's ability to switch tasks or strategies smoothly, like changing gears without grinding them, as one source nicely put it.
Okay. And that explains something I saw in the sources, this advantage popping up in totally unrelated areas, like school performance.
Absolutely. The benefits transfer. There was research, I think, from York University showing bilingual students have better focus, something like 15 to 20% higher attention control compared to monolingual students. And this isn't just in language class. This mental fitness helps them in math, in science, even in art. Better focus is better focus, right?
Right. So if we use that computer analogy again,
Right.
a monolingual brain is like a single core processor doing one thing well, but the bilingual brain is more like a multi-core system, constantly managing multiple processes without, crashing. That's a pretty big difference in processing
It
ability.
is. It's like efficiency gained through constant practice, constant mental maintenance.
Okay, now let's shift to the long game, the investment payoff. If you're running this multi-core system for decades, what happens as we age? This is where it gets really compelling for long-term health.
Yes. This is maybe the most powerful motivator for many people. Because this constant neural workout seems to provide a pretty amazing health dividend as we get older. Basically, bilingualism can help protect the brain against the normal wear and tear of aging.
Protect how?
Well, multiple large studies looking at people over many years have found a significant delay in the onset of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. We're talking 4 to 5 years on average.
Wait, 4 to 5 years? That's not trivial. That's a huge chunk of quality life, of independence.
It's massive. And the thinking behind it, the mechanism, is this idea of cognitive reserve.
Cognitive reserve, what does that mean exactly?
It basically means the brain builds up redundancies,
Yeah.
backup systems. Think of it like a computer network with extra servers or data backups. When age-related decline starts to happen, when some pathways begin to degrade, the bilingual brain has developed stronger, more efficient alternative routes to get the job done.
So because it's always had to work around interference and switch between languages, it's built more pathways, more options.
Exactly. Those pathways, built up over years and years of that inhibitory control and language switching, allow the brain to keep functioning well, even when some physical changes related to aging or disease might be starting. The brain is just more resilient.
It's tougher. Makes sense. It's been training for this its whole life, in a way.
Precisely. But, and this is a really important but the sources emphasize, you have to keep it up. This protective effect is strongest for people who actively use both languages regularly throughout their lives.
Right. Use it or lose it, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
If you learned French back in college and haven't really spoken it in 20 years, that cognitive reserve benefit is likely minimal. You need to keep those neural pathways firing.
Okay, so keep practicing. Got it. Now, let's switch gears again, maybe to more immediate, everyday impacts. Creativity and communication. How does all this brain flexibility change how we connect with others or even solve problems day to day?
Oh, it has a huge effect on communication. Bilingual people, almost by definition, learn that language isn't just about swapping words. One-to-one translation rarely works perfectly, right?
Yeah, definitely not for jokes, yeah.
Exactly. You learn that humor doesn't always translate, that directness varies hugely culture to culture, that how you express emotion can be really different. You start paying much more attention to nonverbal cues, to context, to what's not being said. And this deeper understanding makes you a better communicator overall, even in your first language,
How does it make you better in your first language?
because you become more aware of the structure of language itself. You see how sentences are built, how nuances are created. The source had that great analogy.
The driving one, manual versus automatic.
Yeah, learning a second language, especially wrestling with its grammar, is like learning to drive a stick shift. Once you understand the clutch and the gears, you have a much deeper appreciation and understanding of what the automatic transmission is doing for you. It makes you a more aware driver or speaker.
I like that. And this awareness, this comfort with different ways of expressing things, that must feed into creativity too.
Absolutely. If your brain knows inherently that there's butterfly, but also mariposa, and that both are perfectly valid ways to label the same thing, it gets comfortable with ambiguity. It gets good at holding multiple perspectives at once.
It becomes a connection-making machine, as you said earlier.
Precisely. Bilingual brains are constantly juggling multiple concepts for single realities. This makes them naturally better at divergent thinking, coming up with lots of different ideas or solutions. It's why studies often show bilingual individuals scoring higher on standard creativity tests. They don't just grab the first, most obvious answer. Their brain is already wired to look for alternatives.
So in a team meeting, they might be the one suggesting the more innovative approach because they're just used to seeing things from multiple angles simultaneously.
That's the idea. They're thinking sideways, drawing on the resources and perspectives of two different linguistic worlds, not just one.
Okay, this is all fascinating brain stuff, but let's talk brass tacks. The money, the career. Does all this cognitive enhancement actually translate into, dollars and cents in the job market?
It really seems to. The sources are pretty clear. Companies aren't just passively interested in bilingual employees anymore. They're actively seeking them out. And yes, they often pay more for them.
Why the increased demand now? Globalization.
Globalization's a huge part of it, definitely. But it's also about needing that cognitive flexibility we just talked about. Think about international tech teams needing seamless collaboration. Marketing teams trying to understand cultural nuances to avoid, frankly, expensive blunders. Customer service dealing with global logistics. It goes way beyond just needing translators.
Okay, but couldn't that pay bump just be because people who learn languages are also maybe more ambitious or have higher education generally? Is it really the language skill itself?
That's a fair question. Researchers try to control for that, but multiple studies specifically isolate the language skill and find a consistent salary advantage. We're talking 5 to 20% more than monolingual peers in similar roles.
5 to 20%. Wow.
Yeah. And the ROI for the company comes from preventing those costly mistakes. Speeding up international projects, accessing wider markets. There was even an anecdote in one source about a software engineer. She got hired over technically stronger candidates specifically because her Hindi skills, even though not perfect, were good enough to smooth communication with a key development team in India and prevent misunderstandings. That's direct bottom line value.
That really nails it down. You're not just being paid for knowing words, you're being paid for that flexibility, that cultural bridge building, that risk reduction.
Exactly. It's a tangible asset.
Okay. But we need to be real here for a second. We've painted a rosy picture, but learning a language as an adult, it's hard. It's often frustrating. You feel stupid sometimes making mistakes. Your brain feels like it's melting.
Oh, absolutely. It's challenging. The sources don't shy away from that. You will feel clumsy. You will make some truly awkward, maybe even hilarious errors. But here's the crucial part, the synthesis that motivates you through that. The incredible cognitive and health benefits we've been discussing, they do not require perfection, not even close.
Ah, so it's the effort, not the end point.
It's the effort. Every single time you stumble over grammar, every awkward pause while you search for a word, every time you have to point or gesture, that's your brain being forced to work. That's the inhibitory control kicking in, the cognitive flexibility being exercised. You are literally, in those messy moments, rewiring your brain for success.
So the bar is much lower than people think. It's just regular use in different situations, even if it's imperfect and messy.
That is the absolute key takeaway. Regular use, functional use. The journey truly starts with that first hola or bonjour or kon'nichiwa, not with achieving flawless fluency. Focus on using it, and the benefits start accumulating.
Okay, let's recap the big hitters then. The research strongly suggests bilingualism gives you superior focus, potentially delays cognitive decline like dementia by a significant 4 to 5 years, can give you a real salary edge, maybe 5 to 20%, and fundamentally boosts your creativity and problem-solving skills.
That sums it up nicely.
So when you put it all together, you're really investing in a version of yourself that thinks more clearly, stays sharper for longer, and connects more deeply. Which leads us to the final thought, the challenge for you listening. The question isn't really if bilingualism is worth the effort anymore. The evidence seems pretty compelling. The real question is, what language are you going to tackle first? Or maybe what language are you going to dust off and start using again?
Keep those pathways active. Remember, every little bit of use counts. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. That really is the ultimate life upgrade.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explored the amazing bilingual brain. Maybe next time we can get into some practical tips, some hacks for actually learning or maintaining those languages. We'll see you then.